Hello, Capricorn. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. And one last happy birthday to you. I hope all of you had beautiful birthdays. All right, Cap. This one was difficult. It's not bad, but I think that you may be looking at your situation right now and going, what the hell did I do to deserve this? And therefore not seeing the blessing in disguise, so to speak. But that can be hard if something's been dropped on you. So clock time pressure and in a rush, and then you have blessed. When you look at clock time, it talks about a time of stress, having a bunch of work to do, having a bunch of responsibilities, feeling like you can't pursue your own dreams. It talks about insufficient support, so feeling like you don't have the support that you need, that you've just been handed all this responsibility and here you go, right? So I don't really think that it's about time running out on anything. I think that it's like now you're in a rush to kind of get this under control, but I don't think that it's a happy situation for you. And I don't think that it's something that you had expected to have to deal with or take care of. Now, with blessed, you're talking about unexpected and unearned blessings. It's like you know you didn't deserve all these good things, but yeah, here you are and you have them. But I don't think that you see your situation that way at all. At all. You're not seeing the blessing in this. And when you look at it with the protection message, it actually talks about how in a way you may have hit rock bottom. You know, you're not laying on the ground here. Obviously, you're having to take on a lot because of what has been put on you. But this is one of those things where there needs to be some surrender and some release before you can see the blessing in this situation. You know, so it's like one of those times where we're shaking our fists up at the sky going, what the hell? What did I do to deserve this shit, right? But you don't get to see that until you let go of that kind of like anger. Because I think that for some of you, yeah, you're going to be upset about this. And the reason why I think it's not about you putting a bunch of pressure on yourself, that this was unexpectedly dropped on you, is because of what you pulled here. So the full moon in Scorpio, it's time to release negativity. The first thing it says is emote. It's all better out than in. So the best way to explain that is if you're feeling something right now and it's not very good, fucking take it to Facebook, take it to Twitter, somewhere, because you need to get it out of your system. That's how I interpreted that. Emote. Better out than in. Yeah. Right? There are times where I think, you know, it's not the right place to be airing garbage for sure, but then there are times where you just feel things and it's like, oh, I got to get it out there, right? I usually try to stop myself from doing that, but apparently you need to right now. And then it says, it's time to move from living fearfully to living joyfully. It says you're right to have your suspicions. Grudges are toxic, let something go, and the end of an argument. But I think that end of an argument has left you with a lot to bear. So there's your argument. With the Five of Swords being kind of where you're coming from on this situation, I think that, you know, this is one of those things where not so much that somebody was trying to step on your toes, but clearly they did not know how to handle a situation with you and instead chose to, like, use words against you almost. Now, besides that, though, looking at the Three of Wands as your overall here, this, I think, is about, you know, you kind of like waiting to see what else is going to happen before you take any further action. I don't think that you're expecting anybody to do anything, but you want to make sure like the coast is clear before you do anything. That's kind of how I feel looking at this. And it doesn't matter though. And the thing is because I'm looking at the Three of Wands, and a lot of times it can show, well, we've set something into motion, right? And we're waiting for something to come in, or we're watching how things are developing. But I don't think that this is something that you set into motion, but either way, it doesn't matter, because you can't take any further action here until you have seen something develop first. You coming into this with the Queen of Pentacles, I think that in terms of the past, you were in a place where you felt secure. You were able to take care of yourself, deal with your responsibilities. Nothing was a problem. And then you move into the Two of Pentacles where you're trying to figure shit out. And that may be because of, with the Six of Pentacles, it could be an issue of cash flow. And for a lot of you, this could be about like looking at, you know, what am I going to do now? But I need to get some kind of, you know, information here first before you can continue to do something. So it may be like you're waiting for somebody to call you back on a job. Or you may be waiting for somebody to kind of clear up their own money situation so that you don't have to continue to help them, which can be the case here. Because the Two of Pentacles, especially with the Six, this is going to be about trying to manage those finances. What's going in, what's going out, who are you handing out to, who's giving you what. Now, for some of you, yeah, you may have been reaching out for assistance because you've been put in a spot where you're trying to figure things out with the Two of Pentacles. So you come into this like, I've got it, I'm good with that Queen of Pentacles, and then you move into this, oh shit, I've got all this stuff going on, I may need a little bit of help, but you move into the Five of Cups here where I think that you may be let down. I think that you are going to be let down by someone or something, like something that you've been expecting. You're going to be let down. But the thing is you're still like waiting here with Three of Wands for something to come in. You have to see something first here. Now, despite the fact that you're looking at the Five of Cups, you know, again, the message there is that not all is lost, right? There's still something there. The Magician coming out with that, I think that you're going to move into this place here where it's not necessarily about manipulation. I think it's more about you feeling good about yourself again, but in a much bigger way with the Magician, feeling like you have the ability to do what needs to be done, to create what you need to here, manifesting that cool ass shit. But you're doing it from a place of being let down, being hurt, being disappointed, being wrapped up in emotional pain. Your best path to follow with the Nine of Swords says stop thinking about that shit. Don't do that to yourself. You got to let go of those thoughts. You can't keep playing out the worst of a situation in your mind, because when you start looking forward, that's all you're going to continue to see, right? You can't keep your mind focused on what didn't go right. But I really think that somebody like falls through on you, something or someone, you know, and this may have been somebody that has been assisting you in some way and making you feel a little bit more secure, a little bit more independent. But like I said, I think that you're let down just when you need it the most. It's like it's not there. Now, your hopes and fears with the Emperor, that's basically saying that this is a really big thing to you, number one. But two, you know, do you have the ability to get control? You know, but I also feel like protection there, needing to protect yourself. But it's not like a Nine of Wands like type of feeling. But it is about taking back control where you may have given up control. You know, and that may be what's kind of like going on in your mind here with the Nine of Swords. Like, I gave this person way too much control. Way too much control. You know, but with the Magician, like I said, this is going to be, it's not about manipulating anything anymore. That's not what that's about. But the thing is you may not feel good enough, or may not feel like you have the ability to kind of get things back on track. And I worry about that a little bit, but I'm hoping that this is more of, you know, regardless of being disappointed or let down and having to deal with this emotional pain, I have the ability to create, you know, recreate myself. That's what I want to say. Because of the Queen of Wands being in the past attached to the Queen of Pentacles, I think that this is about you, and I think that you may be worried about how, you know, you look in a situation right now. because at one point I think you were okay, but I think that your self-image is what you may be worried about. Because you look like, with the Magician here, like, again, recreating yourself. But I think that seriously, in the past, you were, not necessarily up on a high horse here, but I think that you felt good about your ability to kind of take care of things. But the thing is I don't know that you were kind of like doing it alone. Now, even if you were, you're going to fall into this position, I think, where you're going to have to reach out for assistance, but it's not coming. Now, with the Knight of Wands, though, I look at that and I think that if we're talking about another person letting you down and you moving into this place with the Five of Cups, it may be because they were there 1 minute and then gone the next. And it was like just when I needed you, they were gone, right? There's a lot of passion, though, here. And I have to wonder if this isn't about you kind of like following your own passion, but then the assistance that you need just kind of like falls through. You thought it was there, but then it was gone, right? But then we're also talking about consequences of actions here with the Knight of Wands. Not really thinking this through before we acted. But we're like blinded by passion. So, of course we're going to act in that way. But with the Page of Swords, I feel a little bit iffy about this, because the thing is if we're talking about your unhappiness being like public, so to speak, there is a lot of misinformation about what actually happened in the situation. But then we're also talking about continued like disappointing news. Whatever it is or whoever it is that you are relying on right now, I would be careful about that. And this is just me being honest, because I look at that Magician and think there is a different way for you to start manifesting what you need to, even though you may be like really hurt and really disappointed and really let down. But the Page of Swords bothers me because I don't know. I feel misinformation with this. I feel like half the story. There are two sides to every story, and then there's the truth, right? But unfortunately, that's not what's being fully told here. And again, I kind of get this feeling of like worrying about your self-image, because look at the way it reverts. Queen, back to the Knight, back to the Page. But yet you have the power of the Magician. So I really do think that this is about recreating yourself, but I think it's because you were completely let down by something that I think that you believed was going to be there for you. And what I would say too with the Nine of Wands is don't beat yourself up or find reasons in your own mind to explain why something is happening to you, right? My grandmother used to tell me, stop feeling sorry for yourself. And I thought, wow, man, she's being really harsh. But I swear there's times where I still wish she was here to say that to me. Don't do that. Don't do that. The power that you have is tremendous with that Magician. Why wait? What is it that you're expecting? Because this would say you're expecting the worst. And then new path emerging. So once you start to find the strength to live from your heart again, a new path will emerge. And again, right, the blessing in disguise in this entire situation has yet to be revealed. But that doesn't help when you're going through a situation like this. And then you have appreciate this moment. Each and every situation has an opportunity to grow and find love. Yeah, even though this may not be the easiest one, but I think that you're going to realize that you have more power and more talent than you've been giving yourself credit for. That's kind of what I feel like with you coming out on this with the Magician. Anybody that has the ability to manifest cool ass shit out of depression and hurt emotions is fucking amazing. And I really do think that this is about you recreating yourself, not worrying about what other people think, not engaging in any kind of conversations where there could be misinformation, right? Stop expecting the worst. Don't go through your mind about how, all of this happened and what did I do to deserve this. Don't do that. You're going to get back to a place where I think that you're going to be better than where you started.